Hey everyone, this is Wynne, and this is my first facilitation topic. And I chose key terms for action research actually for a reason, more so for myself, because I really like to get to know the background or the concrete information of any topic before diving in deeper, because in a class like this there are obviously going to be lots of levels and layers, and I like to get really comfortable with a topic and its background before going into those deeper levels. So yeah, and I hope this will help everyone appreciate the types of action research that are discussed in this particular chapter from chapter 1. So action research, Sager describes in his book that action research is any investigation conducted by the person or the people empowered to take action concerning their own actions for the purpose of improving their future actions, which basically sounds like any teacher out there. We don't view our position as a stagnant behavior. We see ourselves as individuals who are constantly growing and learning, and we're always looking for ways that we can improve what we're doing, whether it's our own teaching, behavior management, peer relationships, whatever it is that we have to improve. And if we're not looking to grow or improve our ways, then clearly we're in this for the wrong reasons. So let's define the three types of action research. And if you notice the three types, all that's different are the prepositions that are inside the terms. So the first one, research of action. And I'm going to use the example of schools that are adopting behavior management strategies in their schools, or like the PBIS method. So research of action is defined by studying actions that have already occurred. So for example, a school that is struggling with its behavior management in its walls, looking back, this would be where they would look back at what they've used in the past and deciding what worked and what didn't. Research in action, if you notice the second one here, the preposition changes to in. This is where you have the studying of action that is currently occurring. So for example, if a school has adopted something like PBIS, this would be where they would be looking to see, hey, is what we've implemented working? Is PBIS actually helping our school behavior? And then the final one here, research for action, the preposition changes one more time to for, and this is where you're studying action that's going to occur in the future. So say you've implemented PBIS and it's kind of a dull dud, maybe it's not working. What are you going to do in the future for the research for action to see what's going to be more useful or more handy for your students so that they actually can experience that positive change? Essentially, the reason why we're doing this is because we're trying to find our focus. We're trying to make change. We're trying to make improvement for not just our classroom, but essentially for our overall schools. All right. So our next slide here, this is where we're talking about the 4 stages of action research. We've talked about the 3 types. Now going into the stages of our work here. And I think we're all pretty familiar with the scientific method, which is clearly not the same thing. Action research is different from scientific research, but we can see the parallels in these 4 stages to the scientific method. We first have to clarify our vision and our targets. This is where we're going to state our goals. So a teacher might ask themselves, what is it that you want to achieve? If behavior management in your classroom is your overall problem, then what is it that you're trying to target? Are you trying to target bullying, negative talk, yelling? What is it that is the overall problem that you want to work on? The second stage, articulating theory. This is where you actually give rationale for how the research is going to be carried out by you. So you might actually ask yourself the question, what's the best approach to helping me reach my goal? What's going to get me there? So if you're targeting negative talk or bullying in your classroom, what is it that you're going to do in order to actually try to help that? The third stage in action research is implementing the action or collecting your data. You're not just going to compile information, it's got to be specific information. So you might ask yourself, what data will help me see how effective my approach is? So if you are targeting bullying, what kind of data are you going to be collecting to show that it exists, and what are you going to do to examine it? And then finally, Your last stage, reflecting on data and planning informed action. This is where you come back to your target and you decide, how do I adjust my future actions? What am I going to do in order for my target to be carried out or my focus to be carried out? And then the last thing that I want to talk about are your two categories of action research. We have descriptive and quasi-experimental, as you see over here. And descriptive is just determining what's happening right now. This is what we do so much of the time in our schools. We have the system that's already in place, and let's see what is working, what's not, what is clearly going on right now. Quasi-experimental is a little bit more like what we're familiar with in the scientific method. This is where you have a hypothesis and you test it out. So you're looking for the effectiveness of a targeted method. Now, what do we do with all this information? Well, this is going to be helpful in deciding if our action research topics that we've decided to focus on this semester, if we are working under the descriptive research or the quasi-experimental research, and then becoming more familiar with the 4 stages of action research over here and being able to recognize that there is a flow to it. It's not like these stages are hard and fast. There is going to be a flow from one to the next. But anyways, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great one.